And we're live here at the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined by Todd Rohal, director of Fuck My Son. It's very cool to
Known
have
as
you here.
Tubby Todd. Can I change my name to Tubby Todd? I didn't. I didn't come with my garbage pail kid name. Is Nasty Neal your garbage pail kid name?
So I always just used my real name on the show, and then I had a guest once, R.A. Mihailoff, who played Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw 3D, and he just kept calling me Nasty Neal, and I just thought it was very funny, so I kept the name.
I want to be Tubby Todd. Tell him.
I like
Let me see if I can change it here. Oh yeah, I can. Here we go. One second.
like this.
Sorry to hold up the stream.
No, it's
here.
all right. It's like a buddy comedy movie or something. Yeah, Nasty Neal.
Tubby Todd and Nasty Neal go to movies and
is
watch.
Is that a cool sweater?
It is. It's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I have that exact same cardigan.
I love it. My wife hates this. She hates it so much. She's like, this is, yeah, it's, but I wear it around the house. I mean, like, I love it. It's just got cold up here. And so I'm like, yeah, I broke it back out, but it's great. It's like kind of passes as a, like you don't notice it right away. You know, it's like you can wear this as a cardigan.
He's got a nice Christmas sweater, right?
Yeah, so this is this is a winter, everyday sweating the pits out in it. It's great, actually. It's a quality product.
Shout out to the Middle of Beyond who makes those. They're not paying us, but I'm a big fan as well.
I'll take anything from them.
Yeah,
Christmas ornaments. They have like a Belial Christmas ornament. God dang it! I need to get that this year because they sell out of those, and they have at least the Belial Christmas ornament. I think I have enough for one purchase this year. So
you're a good man. You brought up two of my favorite movies, Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Basket Case. So we're on to a good start here. Well, as I often say on the show, like two of my favorite movies are Basket Case and Taxi Driver, and I realize one's probably a better movie than the other, but both of them have given me like an equal amount of pleasure over the years.
I think it's what mood you're in. I mean, those are basically the two moods that once you hit 40, I don't know if you're 40 or not, but once you hit that age, I think your two moods are Basket Case or Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Taxi Driver. You're either, I mean, that's really the mood. Yeah, all emotions boil down to just those two movies by that point. The rest of them are all fizzled out.
I think that's a good point. It's like the modern day comedy and tragedy face. It's either Belial or
Oh shit. That's a great idea. I like, just that, like, because it's like, when you're a kid, it's like, oh, I love the Goonies, and then at some point you're like, I don't need to see that shit anymore. I'm just in a bad mood or just want to murder somebody. Yeah.
So I have to say, so as soon as I heard the name and I saw the poster, I was like, I have to know about this movie. Fuck My Son. And I watched the trailer. I was like, this means, and I posted about watching the movie, and so half of my friends. Because I have a lot of friends who like festival people and stuff. And they're like, hard pass, hard no. Like I walked out of this movie 20 minutes in and I was like, all right. So I didn't, and I watched it today, actually, about an hour. I finished about an hour before this interview. So I didn't know what I was going to think of it until you come on. And I have to say, I absolutely love Fuck My Son. And I had to go grab my Greasy Strangler hat. I know they're not the same movie, but it gave me the same feeling as when I first saw Greasy Strangler. It's like, I love this movie, and I want to have like the whole cast on the show.
Oh yeah, they would. I mean, I'm I think a spiritual brother of Jim Hosking. We met a couple times, and actually when we just had short films, we were connected because I really loved Jim's shorts. He had been making. I think at the same time he was doing commercials and stuff. But then when he did Greasy Strangler, it was much anticipated for me to see what he had done. Goddamn. And it's like truly like, that movie is like where you're like, I'd like some dessert. And then it's like, all right, they just you like you just eat until you're just completely filled with, where you're like, I don't ever want to have dessert again. The fact that you love Greasy Strangler and then you watch this movie too is like maybe that you've digested your dessert from Greasy Strangler and you were ready for more, and your friends are still in the diabetic coma stage.
Yeah, I've always for years would after I saw Greasy Strangler, I had like I had a Greasy week. I had like everyone on the Jim on the show, Michael St. Mike, everybody, Sky Elabar, Oinker. I sat out everybody because like I love every character in this movie. And then I would suggest it to everybody, and it would either be like, "Oh yeah, that's amazing," or it'd be like, "What is wrong with you?" Like that was the worst thing I've ever tried to sit through. It's like, yeah.
I mean, it's true. It's like, I mean, if you're not in the right mood for Greasy Strangler, it's very forgivable that you're like, I can't do this right now. Totally acceptable. Like, it's like, yeah, I mean, like, what? Yeah, Pink Flamingo's the same. You can't just pop that on, you know, after Thanksgiving right. with the family and be like, I don't get it. Why are you guys not into this? You know, these are movies that are very specific. For specific times of day, and I'm surprised you watched it in the morning. That's brave of you. I'm
not, a normal dude, I guess. But so, could you give people an idea if they don't know of Fuck My Son yet? Could you give them an idea of what the movie is about?
Sure, it's based on a comic book by Johnny Ryan that is called. The comic book's title is Fuck My Son, and then we made a movie called Fuck My Son, based on the comic book Fuck My Son. So it's Johnny's. If you don't know Johnny's work, he did he's been a what I want to say, an artist, comic book writer. I don't know what do you call comic book writers? Artists? Yes, they're considered. Yeah. He's been making comics for years, for decades now. And they've been consistently banned, made people angry, made a lot of people laugh, made a lot of people question their own sensibilities. I think a true provocateur, if that word is still something that has a positive connotation in it. And he is, continues to write and create stuff that continues to provoke people and get him banned, and in ways that are truly interesting. You know, it's like you could look back on what maybe he was getting banned for 10 years ago and be like, oh, that's nothing, and then get mad about what he did yesterday, and then 10 years from now it's like, well, that was nothing. It's like, you know, it's he's kind of got his finger on the pulse of the buttons to push in a really interesting way. So he had written this comic book that I have my copy here that I ordered from France. This is all I knew about it before I ordered it. So I was like, Fuck My Son. It's an old woman and then a younger woman in a pile of blood. And I was like, I'm in, whatever this is. It's only, it's pretty rudimentarily drawn. It's Johnny's, he's able to draw quickly, and he's able to draw things in much more detail that are much more beautiful. But this felt, is coming straight out of the trash can, and it's just so gross and so shocking. It's so fun that I was like, I want this to be a movie, and I didn't think I should be the person to make it. As I was reading it, I was like, I know how to make this, I know what I would do, but I actually had fears that someone else was going to do it and then water it down, turn it into something else, and of course change the title and do something else with it, which is, I'm sure you've been watching movies recently, and you see this, you say, this is going to blow your mind, this is going to be disgusting, this is going to make you upset, and then you watch it and it's like, it's like the worst, made for TV horror shit that's, possible now. And I was like, what if we just went for it and, didn't compromise and made something that was like forbidden and that Netflix wouldn't buy, that wouldn't be part of the conversation of this. Like, it wouldn't be possible for Shudder to show this. And let's just go for it. Let's just make it X-rated. Let's just call it X-rated because we can. Let's just, make it so that it's fully uncompromised and nuts. And that's what I wanted to do. And that seemed exciting. And that seemed like missing in the world. And so that's not necessarily what it's about. I think it's watch the movie's not like, you're not going to watch it and be like, oh, wow, what's the plot of this? And let's analyze the plot. It's very basic horror stuff, but hopefully done in a new way. That's still shocking and provocative, which is what horror movies are supposed to be. You have friends that are like, I'm not going to do it. And it's like, but yeah, I love like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and all the
and it's and no knock on them. I mean, everyone has their own thing and stuff, but
sure.
It was people specifically I know from like the festival world, and I know that they've either made like really weird stuff or seen some really bizarre stuff. So I thought it was a very weird take. I could see just not liking it. You know what I mean? But
yeah, like I can't sit through 20 minutes of this, and it's like, what can you sit through? But it's like, I don't know. I guess it is good to have specificity and stuff, trying to please everybody. So it's like, I do thank your friends for trying. Hopefully people are trying to watch their movies, and it's like you're continuing to go and just show up and take chances on stuff that might not be for everybody, and then not intended to be for everybody. So you gotta find your group.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be for everybody. I will not. Greasy Strangler isn't either. But I immediately already told a few friends of mine that I think would really like it. And I was like, you have to see this. And so that's honestly what's fun about doing the show is when you find something. I see a lot of stuff that like kind of like you're saying. It's like not even. It might be technically well made, but it's like it's a haunted house movie that I've seen 1,000 times, and there's nothing new about it. It does. I don't know. It seems like someone just made a movie for the sake of making a movie, and then something comes along that is fun to watch and looks like everyone's having a good time or whatever reason, and like, oh, this is something I'd like to tell people about.
Yeah, there was somebody that saw it in at Fantastic Fest, and she's since seen it 3 times, which is crazy. But she was saying that there's 2 strangers on either side of her. Nobody knew each other. One guy was laughing his ass off through the whole movie, and the other guy was just completely like having the worst night of his life. Like, and to be able to all 3 of them watching the same movie and having completely different reactions, or just having a mix of reactions on either side of her, it's like that's I feel accomplishment in that, because it's like, yeah, we're how great. Like, I don't want this guy to be miserable. I want him to enjoy it, but it's like it was clearly like making him sick, she said, and like he was, having a hard time stomach wise with it all. So, like that's like teenage. That's all I wanted.
Yeah, because it's interesting. If I tell people the plot and the like stuff that goes on, it would be like, wow, that's really disturbing and dark and I guess it is, but at the same time, like the movie's like really preposterous. So like, you know what I mean? I'm just having fun watching it. I'm not. I mean, it's a gross out movie, but I'm at the same time, I'm not like actually being disturbed by it, if that makes sense. I'm having a good time with it.
Yeah. It's all fictional.
Yeah. Like, it's not a documentary.
It's not a movie about a real child murderer, or it's like, which to me is like very questionable. It's like the true crime thing, that's always been popular, since the beginning of time. That's it's like that's a whole different industry where that's going on. But I know we've got child murder in the movie, a popular subject in true crime.
It is actually, I've mentioned this on the show. Like, so many movies out lately are about even like mainstream movies are about like child murder, and I was like, I don't know why this is like the big thing today, but
I mean, I take complete joy in it. But like those movies are like, like we're there was a real child murdered here, and we're going to take a serious stance on it while also benefiting financially from this child's death. So
right.
It's like, that's where I'm like, Jesus Christ. But there's this, do you know this book called The Sweetest Taboo?
I do not.
It's an Austin author, and Lars from Austin Film Society came up with this title, I guess, for it. And it's got a wonderful intro. You have to, or no publisher would put this out, I guess. So, So the author, Erica Schultz from Austin, putting them out by herself, and you have to order them directly from her, because I think the story is she finished this book, The Sweetest Taboo: An Unapologetic Guide to Child Kills in Film. She put this out, and a publisher was like, cool, and then they got it, and they were like, we cannot sell this. She goes through every child murder in movies and catalogs them, and then rates them on the movie itself, and then the child death, and it's like this was such a helpful thing for me when I was questioning when we were doing it. Like, you know, that was a big question in the script. Like, oh my God, like, okay, there's like mutant penises and weird sex and stuff going on, but like the kid dying, you know, and
yeah, I was honestly surprised when that happened in the movie.
As we should be.
Yeah.
But I was like kind of questioning, but I was like, no, I feel like when I was reading the comic, I'm like, it's very fun in that part. And then Lars, I think, told me about this book, or Laird at the Alamo. And you know, and it was just like, oh my God, like children die in movies since the beginning of time. It's like a pastime for movies. This is not like a new thing. But I also had a conversation with Vicky Boone, who's a casting director in Austin, and we were trying to bring some kids in, very worried about finding a kid, you know, that would, and their parents would be down for this. And she's like, you know, kids come into auditions all the time, and all they want to do is be in a zombie movie and have their heads ripped off. You know, like when I was a kid, I would loved Halloween, putting blood all over myself. You know, you wanted to, I loved horror, and then the kids get cast in like a drama where they're sitting at the kitchen table with their parents being like, you know, we're going to get divorced. And the kids are like, I want to in this shitty movie. You know, I want to get my head ripped off. So it's like, I really think like making movies that are like kids and horror movies just go together. It's just like the kids love it. They love it more than adults do. Like putting a kid covering a kid in goop. They're much more into that than like a middle-aged man would be. They're going to get upset after a while. So
yeah, now that I think about it, 100%. I remember when I was a kid, I used to go squidding with my uncle, and if you catch squid, they would spray ink on you. And when I was a little kid, I thought that was great. But like, if I think about it now, like, do I want to get sprayed by ink? Not really. But
where did you go squidding? Where did you grow up?
On Cape Cod, in Massachusetts.
Jesus.
The Cape Cod
calamari? Did you guys
just make your exactly. Own? Yeah. So it was, and at that time, I don't think you even needed a license. So you could just go get as much squid as you want. I guess people ate calamari, but it wasn't really, we ate it, but it wasn't like a big thing at that time. It's become a lot bigger, you know, since then.
Yeah, the calamari industry. Like, yeah, it's called squid jigging, right?
Yeah, he would make his own jigs in the basement. He had a mold, and he would melt down his own lead, and he'd make this. That's how he did this. The what's called the sinkers. And then the jigs, he would take the tops off like markers, and he'd put they were like these hooks. They looked like grapple hooks. It would be on that. And then he would paint like, because for some reason, like the squid would be attracted to like bright colors. So he would paint like different bright colors on the marker tips. And it was fun, honestly. Yeah, you know, and if on the canal on a clear night, you could see down into the water. And so you could see the stuff coming through, and sometimes schools of squid would come through. So if they weren't there, you'd kind of pop your jig up and down. But if you could see them, you could actually like flick it up and capture one. And so there was like a whole art form to this. So.
Wait, so octopus and squid both blast ink?
Yeah. The squids, almost every time when you catch them, yeah, they'd squirt ink.
What? Wait, is it? I'm sorry to take a little different. Are squid and octopus are not connected though? They're not in the same family,
I'm not
correct?
really sure, honestly. I'm not really positive. I don't know a lot about the octopus. We never went octopusing, but yeah, I'm not really sure.
Because like I'll eat. I love eating calamari. It's like I love it. Yeah. I don't know why, and I know the whole pig butthole side of that, where people say that most calamari is actually pig rectums and stuff.
Oh, I've never heard that before. Okay, but
you never heard that? Yeah, it's like it's like a big reason a lot of people won't eat calamari, especially in the middle of the country, because they're like, apparently there was a guy that's like, hey, I can just take pig buttholes and chop them up as rings and then deep fry them, and there was like and like people can't tell the difference of it, and so I'm kind of like, well, but so some people won't eat it, but I love calamari, but I won't eat octopus at all. Like, because
octopus is super. Yeah, it's super chewy. I've had it. I've had it where it is good, but they have to really know how to do it, so it's not just like eating rubber.
But it's also like those creatures are like much more
super intelligent. Yeah.
Intelligent.
So it's weird.
Like they can actually. Yeah. Anyhow, don't mean to I could talk about calamari all day, Nasty Neal.
Very
calamari.
Good, yes.
Let me change my name to Calamari Carl or whatever. Yeah.
I like this.
Squid jigging.
Yeah. I've never really. The only other person I talked about once, I was at a convention with Gunnar Hansen, the original Leatherface, and we were both flying back to the Northeast. And there was a big storm, so both our flights delayed, and we were the only two people there. And we spent like the day together. It was a really great experience, honestly. He bought me Chinese, and we ate Chinese food. And
what?
I normally just say him from Cape Cod. I never say him from this little town called Sandwich because no one has ever heard of that. But he used to go fishing out of the Cape Cod Canal. And I was like, this is so weird that like he actually not even just knew the town, like he had been there and he used to go squidding and boating out of the canal like I used to go squidding out of. So it was a really cool experience, honestly.
So Gunnar Hansen was a squid jigger.
And a fisherman. He had done like so many things, and he lived on like a private island off of Maine. And
really,
a really interesting guy. Yeah,
I'm gonna make a T-shirt that says Gunnar Hansen was a squid jigger. That would sell, wouldn't it? You know, like it's like so. It's like Andre the Giant has a posse type. You know, like make that, but with Gunnar Hansen. That's actually, if I was in the T-shirt business.
I do make some merch on Amazon, so we could. Yeah,
okay, I'll design that for you and I'll send it over.
All right, I love it.
I'm writing it down, and someone's gonna find this on my desk and say, "Why did you write Gunnar Hansen was
just
a squid jigger
to fuck my son?" Yeah.
Wait, so was Gunnar Hansen's passed away, right? He's okay. So, but what? I mean, can I ask you? Am I allowed to ask questions on your podcast?
Yeah.
Okay. What was he? What was that like? What was he? He's just a sweet big dude.
To me, a lot of people did not have great experiences with him at conventions. But the thing is, if you only talk to him about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's not that he'd be rude or something. It's just he's probably talked about it for 50 years. You know what I mean? And so that's fine. But if you would talk to him about like TV, he was really into like a lot of series, like HBO series, and just life stuff like squidding and boating. Super nice guy, and would just talk to you and have real conversations. But he really didn't want to talk about like horror movies all the time.
I guess it's like, how much is there to say about Texas Chainsaw Massacre after you're talking about it for like 3 months? Probably. It's like, it was hot. It was gross. I hate it.
Yeah, and he's probably told the story so many times about like, he really cut Marilyn's finger and all these like insane things.
Yeah. That's great though. He's somebody that I would always. It's weird, like even a kid who, his name was so memorable, and I had the Texas Chainsaw Massacre poster in my room ever since I was a kid. The one, the one with the big text on it and stuff, and so it was always like Gunnar Hansen. Like, what a scary ass name. I mean, that just sounds like if he wasn't Leatherface for real, he was actually murdering somebody somewhere,
Yeah. And that movie, I mean, this is not, a hot take, but it's so good. And it's like really disturbing because it almost feels like you're watching something you're not supposed to watch. It kind of almost feels like you're watching like some kind of like dirty, like not a snuff film, but something like a home video or something.
Yeah. I saw it. I've seen it on VHS and seen it when the DVDs started coming out. And then at South by Southwest a while back, Tobe Hooper did a 6-1 mix, so it was like, I can't remember what the 6 speakers, just a couple more speakers in the back or something. But I played it in a really nice theater in Austin, and it was only like half full. And I brought a friend. She had never seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So I was like, oh, this is going to be great, to see it like fully, like in Tobe Hooper's restoration of it, so it looked amazing in its trashy way. And then just the sound was like so cranked in the theater. And that the very end of it, just swinging around, and it ends. And I look over, and it's my friend Megan. She's a filmmaker, Megan Griffiths. She's like clutching the chair, like just truly like, what the fuck, like she had no idea that a horror movie it's the kind of thing you hear about certain things and you're like, I've seen it. I've probably seen it repeat a million times, but the real visceral reaction that that movie gives you is so good. And then she ended up meeting a guy whose movie was Texas Chainsaw 2, and they got married. So I feel like had she not seen Texas Chainsaw 1 and 6-1 with me and had that reaction, she probably would have dismissed her husband. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's still got other charms to him too. But
right, yeah. I hated Texas Chainsaw 2 because it's like, oh, this is like a parody of the first movie. But as I got as an adult, I watch it knowing that, and I love it too. It's not quite as good. I wouldn't put up with the first one, but when I go in knowing it's a comedy, like I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I mean, that poster is so good, just that. I mean, because it's kind of like, where can you go from the first one? And I think that's where maybe some of the remakes are like, yeah, where can you go from this? So I love the idea of them doing that, as goofy as it was. I know it gets a little, I can't even remember the second half of Texas Chainsaw 2. I think I always kind of zonk out in that. But yeah, the mix of comedy with it. And I think like that, I mean, yeah, it's like at the same time, like Evil Dead 2 to me was like so, like that mix of comedy with horror was so important to me, like of understanding, of like understanding horror and comedy and how those kind of work together. That Texas Chainsaw 2 was very welcome to, I really wanted more of that.
I think
it doesn't work as
Evil
well.
Evil Dead 2 is a better meld of comedy and horror because in my opinion, for a comedy horror to work, the horror also has to work. You can't like parody the horror itself. And so like all the Deadites and stuff are great in Evil Dead 2. Same thing with like American Werewolf in London. Like the horror really works and the comedy also works. It's not like one or the other. I think when you do a horror comedy and it's like you're kind of goofing on the horror itself, for me, it's like a different kind of thing that I'm probably not into.
Yeah, like I mean, Bruce Campbell, just like performance. We just watched it the other night because my wife had not seen it, and I was like, we're gonna do a Halloween screening of it. She just hears us talking about it all the time, so it's like, and I think the same kind of thing. Once something's at a certain point, you kind of feel like, it's good. I feel like I've seen the movie a million times by now, or if it's been remade so much, I don't need to see the original. But yeah, Bruce Campbell's performance is so good, and just having a grounded performance like that, or Dead Alive, like Peter Jackson's movie, like the violent level is so cranked. Like I think violence in Dead Alive is beyond Evil Dead 2. Like it's just like the moving like esophagus, butthole, rectum thing. All that is off the charts, and maybe the actors in that are a little more campy. It's like that than Bruce Campbell in Evil Dead.
Come here to kick ass for the Lord and stuff. Real early on, and as I've been doing the show since 2006, so really early on, I had Tim Balm on the show from Dead Alive, and he told me that Peter Jackson always wanted to do a sequel, but he's like too busy making Lord of the Rings and stuff. And I was just like, and so I was like, I'm going to email him. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get a reply or anything. But I was like, would you want to come on and talk about Dead Alive too? And I got a reply, and they're like, he's actually really interested in this, but he was busy like on pre-production of King Kong or something. And I was like, okay. Like,
get him now. I mean, I would love just to hear what he's brewing up. Jesus.
Yeah, I like to think that he's always like, man, I really want to make this Dead Alive too, but they keep, I have to make these like $300 million movies instead. Like, but I really just want to make this goofy movie.
I think he's responsible for 90% of the New Zealand economy right now. So it's like
anytime I have a guest on actually from New Zealand, I've had a few people, and they actually say that. They say that like everyone in New Zealand is like working for Peter Jackson because everyone like works in like the movies because they're always filming stuff there.
Yeah, so it's like if he did Drive 2, it would just be like the economy would just tank. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. But, that's a good point. Yeah. It's like I don't want to destroy my country. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like I would love to know what his fans would do if he did that completely, just unhinged, like people showing up dressed as Frodo to see Evil Dead or Dead Alive 2, not knowing what they're getting into. So
Christian loves the paintings behind you, Todd.
Oh, thanks. This is my long in progress collection of weird art that I find, or whatever. I've got a lot back here. Yeah, I finally have a place to put everything, but I have even on this side of it, a lot of good outsidery weird. This painting is made by a voodoo guy from Haiti.
Oh wow!
This is a guy from South Carolina, musician, Chicago. These, this outsider artist from Baltimore that does these glass things that I had always read about. This is a Jimmy Smith's autograph up there, which I consider outsider art. Stuff like that. But thanks. Yeah, I think it's nice to be surrounded by art that's affordable. I think, it's let's say that's a profound statement.
Happy Halloween. Thank you. That's Spencer Wilding, Darth Vader himself from Rogue One, wishing us a happy birthday. Well, thank you.
Oh, well, thanks. My God.
Yeah. So how much did you add to from the comic? Like, is the movie exactly like the story from the comic, or is there like additions to it?
There's definitely additions to it because the comic's kind of short. It's like 40 pages long, just for like a narrative story. Yeah. And then there's things that were like this, translating from a drawing to real life would be a big turnoff in a lot of different ways, just in terms of. But I try to keep I kept everything in the comic that I could, and then some stuff like these animated characters called the Meaty Mates, which are kind of like a Veggie Tales thing. Yeah. And so those. Actually, I was going to raise the money for the movie by making an actual Meaty Mates series and putting on YouTube. And I was like, this is a long-term project to try to actually
raise money.
Do this.
Yeah, Take 10 years over. Yeah, right.
But it kind of brings in like some Christianity themes in it of like, like what is the purpose of life, all this stuff. And they're telling, kids like when we pass away, we all go to a better place. And it's like, well, what happens when you die violently? How do we celebrate that? And so it's like, these kind of characters trying to explain to a child why all this violence is happening, why it's all okay.
Yeah, I was a big fan right away when you first see him, and like they're like, just stay in this shed, everything will be all right. And like, and then she gets kidnapped.
Kind of the footprints in the sand Jesus thing where it's like, why did you abandon me, Jesus? And he's like, I was carrying you, and it's like, that's how I picture this movie, is like the little kid just being like carried by Jesus while their mom's getting slaughtered and, like attacked by these creatures. It's like, I like that Bible version of it. Like if I were to if I was given the assignment of rewriting the Bible, those chapters, I would make them like a horror movie. It would be the best, the most watchable chapter of the Bible.
Yeah. And I love the end credits, honestly, because you showed the actual pictures from the comic, and so I didn't know it was a comic going into the movie until the end there, and I was like, oh shit, I need to get a copy of this because I enjoyed it a lot. So I think that's a good thing too. It could bring people to the comic.
Yeah, and Johnny Comics, he has a Patreon too, where he wrote this as a Patreon where he does a page a day of a comic ongoing. So every day you new page of a comic book that he's working on, but he does write them in real time. Like he did not know, where it was going to end when he started writing it. And that's fascinating. He's got a very good storytelling sense, that's just very innate in him beyond just the ability to shock. But he like his job for a while was writing the Looney Tunes cartoons, the reboots of all that for, Warner Brothers? I don't know, whoever owns now, Mattel, Hormel Chili, I don't know, but whatever corporation owns Looney Tunes, he was writing for, and just like that sense of just how to do slapstick and storytelling and what's important and how to keep the story as just as minimal, and not to get too in with like dialogue and people explaining everything, which also I do feel like in horror movies now. It's like when they stop and have to explain anything for you. It's like I love Texas Chainsaw where it's like it just goes, and it's like that's the fear that anything can happen. But when they stop and start to, well, Leatherface was born a child, that was abused by his father. It's like shut the fuck up. Like we don't want that.
Yeah. Whatever you think in your mind is going to be more interesting. And then if they really explain it, you're going to be let down if it's not like what you thought it was.
So it's true. It's like in horror and comedy, it just feels like the audience, if you trust your audience to be smart enough to fill in the blanks. I mean, it's the most basic kind of thing where people talk about a horror movie having black behind you. Anything's possible. Anything could sneak up behind somebody in a scene, right? Like that's why you keep things dark and keep things framed certain ways. But story-wise, I think it's the same. It's like if I know the whole backstory of Leatherface, you know, my version that I'm even filling in as I'm watching it, even in little chunks, is way more interesting than what you would tell me. And then that becomes, you know,
did you see that?
Truth of the story.
I think it was filmed in Bulgaria or something. It was called, it was just called Leatherface, and it was like the origin of leather. It was so rotten. And I remember just seeing a still picture before it came out, and it's on an old episode of the show. And it's like, because it's like a group of kids, and one of them becomes Leatherface, and one of them's like this big giant kid with like long greasy hair, whatever. And I'm like, he's not going to be Leatherface, obviously. It's going to be one of these really good looking kids. And that's what the movie was. And like, I figured out the plot from like a still picture of it, like a year before it came out. It was so bad. It was like this good looking, like, you know, teen. And then he gets like cut in the face and he turns into Leatherface at the end. I was like, this is so stupid.
Even attractive people can turn evil. No, I didn't see that one. But yeah, you know, it's like, yeah, I would love to do like, yeah, if I had a shot at a Texas Chainsaw type movie, I would make Leatherface just all little kids, you know. That'd be so fun if it was like little Jason and little Freddy and little Leatherface all being like just little shithead kids in school, you know, and then they're murdering other kids. Like that'd be super fun. Or an animated Saturday morning cartoon.
Muppet Babies, yeah. But I always think so many of those movies like missed, because Leatherface himself's really not that interesting. It's like the whole family dynamic, and so many like the newer ones, it's just all about Leatherface, and it's like, yeah, he's just like this guy who kills people. It's not, you know, it's not that interesting.
Grandpa's the best because it is. It's like you start and you're like, well, what's his name? What's the name of the character that's the first one they meet?
The cook. Oh no, a hitchhiker, the hitchhiker
yes,
guy.
Is he just known as Hitchhiker in all the movies? Okay.
No, he's only in the first one.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah, the hitchhiker.
Oh my God! Yeah, you're right. I guess It's like because it's like you go through that stage, and I can't remember what happens in 3. And I did see Texas Chainsaw, the Matthew McConaughey one, when it came out at a 24-hour in Columbus, Ohio. It was like, and before Matthew McConaughey was anybody, and they did a thing where they had somebody dressed as Leatherface, and when he comes in, the door open by the exit, and he's running around the theater, and it's like I shit my pants. I mean, like, God, that movie's probably horrible in my mind. It's like that was truly one of the most terrifying things to do that. But let's do Murder Baby. But what was I saying? Oh, but you go from like the hitchhiker to then Leatherface to, I mean, Grindhouse, the truly most terrifying, like just an old guy that's out of it like that. Like, God damn, like being stuck in a room at a table across from that dude. So yeah, you're right. It's like Leatherface is the most endearing, sweet one of that family.
Yeah, he's the innocent of the family, and like he's actually like he's like afraid of everybody in the family, and so there's like a cool dynamic. But he's the most dangerous at the same time. I don't know, that whole setup is really interesting.
Do you think?
And the grandfather's like the most. He's the one that they like you cower to, and he can't do anything. He's barely alive.
It's like such a true point of the entire world, you know. It's like you fear this authority that has no power, you know. Like, it's truly
he's the king. Yeah,
true. Do you think that Leatherface and the performance of Leatherface and Daniel Day-Lewis, My Left Foot, are similar? Like,
that's wow.
Similar?
I like.
Do you think that they could exchange, like that Gunnar Hansen could do My Left Foot in the equal to the equal level of performance that Daniel Day-Lewis do, and vice versa.
You know what? I think Gunnar. Yeah, I would like to see Gunnar play that, and I don't know if Daniel Day-Lewis has the physical presence for the Leatherface. Is the thing.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Daniel Day-Lewis as Leatherface, but then maybe I don't know.
He might take like a year just to gain like a lot of weight and be like this big hulking guy. So yeah, I don't want to rule him out.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he did. Yeah, like if he can do Lincoln, Gunnar Hansen could have done Lincoln. Gunnar Hansen could have done any role that Daniel Day-Lewis did.
Yeah, yeah, he could have been Bill the Butcher.
Yeah,
he would have been a good Bill the Butcher. When I think about it, but yeah, anybody out there? I actually I would like to hear what Daniel Day-Lewis would say if someone pitched him the idea of playing Leatherface. Like, what would his response be?
Like just a lonely. Maybe it would have to be more dramatic, or it's just kind of like Leatherface, like in his off time, just like having to fix shit in the house and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe falling in love with the lady next door and knowing that she'll never.
I've had this idea that I've told friends, like kind of similar to what you're saying, is like do a prequel to some horror movie, but it's just when they're all friends and no one dies, so it's just like this prequel's just like a sitcom, and people would be like, "What the fuck is this?" And that would amuse me, but it would probably anger everybody else. But
I mean, that seems like even like a Saturday Night Live sketch of like Jason, Freddy, and Leatherface living in an apartment together, and just like,
it's before anything happens.
Yeah. Like Leatherface goes to sleep and Freddy's in his dreams and he's like, fucking get out of like he's just so mad that Freddy's haunting him, and then but they can't help but be themselves.
There's this great documentary about all the Nightmare on Elm Streets, and then at the end they're talking about all these different ideas that people had for Jason versus Freddy, and one of them was great, but I think would be hard to do, was the idea that Freddy in life is the one who drowns Jason and like rapes him and drowns him. And I was like, that's like an awesome idea, honestly. But they were like, people would show up with like Freddy tattoos and like they'd be watching a movie where like, their favorite characters are like raping each other and stuff. But I was like, that's actually a really good idea though. I was like,
yes.
Yeah.
That'd be great if people were mad that Freddy was a bad guy. They're like, you can't make him be evil. And it's
like, he kills kids. He's a cool guy. Yeah.
This is my whole identity is based in this. What I was say about like those. Yeah, I love that Jason versus Freddy stuff, but never felt like it went far enough, because I was always like, I would love to do like I had an idea for Slimers versus Trons, which would be like a Slimer universe, which is like a lot of Slimers, and then calling them Trons would be good too. It's like based on not ever having seen Tron when it came out, which I did, and not seeing it ever again, but then writing a script based on what I remember, and so calling them Trons, and then having them fight Slimers. I'm like, I can get 90 minutes out of that, right? Would you go to that?
I think so, yeah. Tron's a really weird one to me, because I was alive when it came out, and I thought it was a flop. I know like they made toys and stuff, and I don't really know anyone who likes Tron really, but they keep making them, and then they're like surprised this new one's a big flop, and I'm like, well, does anyone really like Tron movies? Like I think they like the idea of them.
So good though, like that the cool stuff in the first one was like beautiful, and like I don't know, yeah, somebody did tell me to go see the new one because they saw it in 4D. I think with spray water in your face and shit, and they said that it's so fun because they really went nuts with the seats moving in the action sequences. And then they said it stops and then you have time to like eat something. And then they have dialogue that's like so bad it's laughable and really fun. So the audience, if they're all into it, are laughing, and then your chair's going like this again. And I was like, I'll pay for that. But I don't think I have a 4D theater here. So it's like I need to go to like a major city to see the new Tron.
Yeah, we used to have one in Boston, but it's not there anymore. I think it closed during COVID. But so yeah, I don't have any near me either, unfortunately.
I did hear that like because the horror world better than I do for sure, but it's like with the Halloween movies, with what John Carpenter had envisioned for some Halloween sequels, that he had an idea for one that was when Michael Myers gets attacked or hurt, that he became a bigger size version of himself. Did you ever heard this?
No, it almost sounds like Godzilla or something. So I like this idea. Yeah.
That's what it sounded like. So I was like, so my friend Craig, who follows this, was telling that like as a Halloween movie that, yeah, every time if you cut him or did anything, he would be big. So by the end of the movie, he was basically Michael Myers, Godzilla, and every sudden, like, why has that not been made? Does the horror world not want stuff like that? Like, is there not an interest in things like that? They really.
Yeah, I would rather see that than basically just the same thing over and over. It's Michael Myers going around, killing people. Just, I like all the new ones were basically just really boring to me. But I would rather see that, yeah.
But like in a horror sense, do people not? Do they have an interest in stuff that might be goofy like that, or not taking the series seriously or something that would?
Usually when they do take like the series in like a different direction, like Jason X, like people do usually are not happy. Like, but I mean, it's also not a great movie is the thing, but I don't know.
Great.
But you know what? Yeah. I think a lot of it is probably not even the audience. It's probably the people making it thinking that they don't want that. Like they really just want the same thing, because there has been some like weirder movies lately that do well, like The Substance or something. So I think there is I do think people want to see some weirder stuff. And I think they do. The producers, whoever makes the movies, just think they just want, remakes and the same thing over and over.
But they are looking at like the feedback from people online. I mean, people online, which is the reason the world's awful, is because of people online and what they write. I've definitely had a lesson in that in the last couple of months, where it's like I meet people in person and it's the most wonderful like reason. It's like so heartwarming, and people doing things, and it feels like inspiring each other. And then you go online and it's just like, I'm like, oh, this is why there's no movies in 5 years. Like, there's gonna be no movie theaters and no movies ever made.
Everything's
why you're generic stuff.
I didn't even buy this movie. I downloaded it and I wasted 2 hours of my life. And it's like nothing is like it's pretty good or okay. It's either they really love, or it's just the absolute worst thing that's ever been made.
Yeah, and it's like that has a very destructive quality. It's like, because I think that producers do react. I've talked to friends that are more in the industry than I am, and it's like the producers bring up tweets on the screen and says, "This is what people are saying," and it's like, and the people working on it are like, "Damn it, no, that like ruins the entire thing we want to do." And they're like, "Well, this is what the audience wants," and it's like that is a direct result of why things are, hammered out of there. Why oddness and stuff, which is hand in hand with horror movies, is just getting pushed out. Or to have something like The Substance, or I think that movie Titane's so good. Those are like original people having to start from scratch and create something, and those are both movies from overseas now. But like Americans horror is such an American
and The Substance actually, they wanted the big whoever was originally making it, like they wanted them to completely change the end, and the director wouldn't. And so that's why it was put out by a different company. So, and most people aren't going to do that. Most people they're just going to give in because, it's easier. Like if you're an established person or if you have money or whatever, but if it's like your first movie or something, obviously you're going to give in. What else are you going to do? It'd be like, they're the people paying for this and they don't want this, weird ending. We'll just make it a real, mundane ending.
Yeah. Like the New York Times just did an article last week about movies that chicken out on their endings, like where they could be provocative and they don't. And I was one movie came to mind when they did it, and that was Get Out, and when I saw that I was shocked that movie bailed itself out, and then read that they test screened it. Originally it did have this provocative ending, and they test marketed it, and they're like, people don't like this, and they changed it. And it's like, but at the time of that movie, and maybe I don't know. I'll say I don't really know if it was needed or not, but it was like, to me, Night of the Living Dead was a very provocative ending for that movie. To have those to have him survive that and then be shot by this basically like clan outside of it was just like, even as a kid seeing that, like so unfair, and feeling like, you know, the sense of like watching this movie and it's crazy and it's fun, and you know, and then just feeling the sense of like completely like, that's not fucking fair. You can't do that to him. Like, I love that man, you know, and I just felt like at a time when that was needed, Get Out was right there to do it. That audiences should have run out of that theater mad, you know, like, and I, you know, obviously like now audiences to be able to talk back to the studios and say, I don't want to be mad. I want to leave a movie happy and feeling fulfilled. And it's like, yikes, you know, like movies are a place to experience emotions so that you can, you know, that aren't real in real life. And now we're stuck with having to experience that day to day, you know, like in real life. And I don't want to I don't want to be mad and outraged by real life events. I want to be outraged at movies, you know, and I just don't know if that's something about now where it's like, I don't want to have feelings in movies. I don't want to react to art. And it's like, well, that's not helpful.
No. And I always say art should evoke emotion, even if that's a negative emotion. So, you know,
yes.
Yeah, fear, unease, any repulsion, all these different things are just, you know, maybe that's not a great feeling, but that's what art should do. It's the worst stuff for me to watch is something where I just watch it and it's just there and I couldn't care less about it.
Yeah, and that's what we have. It's just like mediocrity, and that's what, you know, that's what sells now. But then people are still simultaneously like, I don't know, movies just are kind of a shrug now. It's like, I just don't feel anything. I don't get excited by it. So I think that's where it's like that, you know, not every movie needs to provoke you into an angry reaction, but like at least have you kind of question something, you know, like, yeah, patting yourself on the back, being like, I'm coming in with these beliefs, the movie reaffirms my beliefs, and I leave with the same beliefs. Okay. I mean, how many of those can you do? And I feel like we got a heavy to that right now. So it's like, even you're saying like, and I know you have good friends that, you know, maybe watch this and weren't into it, but it's like, maybe there's a point when it's like, you come back to something else that you weren't, you know, into, and then be like, oh, I get what they're coming at. And I have that feeling now and I can connect to it. But something that, you know, you have something that's pushing you away for a reason other than just total boredom or something. There's something maybe valid in that.
Because I will say, people, if you out there who like me and know like the kind of stuff I watch, if you start watching Fuck My Son and you think it's like, okay, I kind of get the gist of whatever, I would recommend to watch the whole movie, because there's more to the movie than just like the idea of it. And as it goes on, it gets really crazy, which I love. So, but anyway, my point is, get past this, like, you know, the first 10 or 20. Not that, I mean, I was into it right away, but my point is, I watch the whole movie and then decide if you liked it or not.
Yeah, it's like, I know I shot myself in the foot by it's to this corporate intro, and the images in the movie are just straight out of an AI generator, and it's supposed to be like, this is the movie theater providing you this. And I wanted people to boo that stuff or whatever, you know. It's like, what the fuck are we watching? You know, I love this idea that you're coming into something and then you end up in a totally different place, you know? And so, but it's like, I guess we are living in a world where it's like, I have an expectation and I need that expectation met. And if it doesn't, I'm out, you know? And so I guess that was it was unpredictable for me, because I just felt that was ingrained in horror movies as well. You know, like it's really great to see something that's like, you know, I thought this was going to be one thing that was interesting to me, but it's actually going to do something else. And you obviously have to stick around for more than 15 minutes of any movie to experience it. But yeah, like, to me, that I love that there's still things that can provoke. Yeah, I guess right now, like, being provoked might be an allergic reaction for some folks that I didn't foresee or intend, or I would have done it maybe in a double down on it, maybe even more, and made it more intense.
Well, when I first started taking my notes, I actually early on I was like, I wrote down about AI and I was gonna like really but then, like, as you kind of explained it, like I got it as the movie went on, like you know, what the AI at the beginning there was, but also I was just a big fan of the idea of the glasses too, because it's very much like William Castle's 13 Ghosts, where you had the old glasses. Like if you're too scared, you put the glasses on and you won't see the ghost. And I'm sure no one actually did that, but you had the pervo vision or the nude block. So if you're a real pervert, like you could see it, and if you're not, you block the all the nudity out.
Yeah, that's a bit of a reaction to being like, I love the movie, but I didn't like when they did this one thing. And it's like, well, that's specific to you. That's like, like movies can't work like that. It felt like, okay, well, here's a device that you can change the movie as you're watching it and shape it to what you want, and it's just
that could be something that happens someday, honestly.
It will be, yeah. It's like like every corporation is trying to figure that out. We don't want you to be upset. We don't want you to feel, and like again, it's going to lead to the most mediocre shit you've ever. We can't even envision how mediocre things are going to be right now. But technology is, it's like it's like technology is so capable of so many things, and like human beings just want to push it to make things more mediocre because fear. I don't know. Yeah. So,
you talked about finding the actress for Bernice for the daughter. How about pitching the movie to like other actors? Like, did you tell them to read the book? Because I just assume like you bring this idea to somebody, and unless like they maybe know you or something, they're like, what in the hell are you talking about? So.
Yeah, you can't put this movie into a casting call. Every agent would be like, nope. Yeah, I'm not even going to send this to, even if actors, I had some actors say to me, like, I would have loved to have been in this, and it would have been like, it would not have gotten past your junior agent, like, at all. But it's like, yeah, this movie had to be made by just me doing everything. It's like, just no one will take that risk with you up front. And especially like, I think there are actors that would love to do that, but they're surrounded by people that will keep it away from them. So even in putting it together, I was like, I'm going to, I know who I want to cast in it right away. So I've been friends with everybody that's in this movie for at least 15 or 20 years. So there was a trust there. And then I could trust that I knew that they were not going to bail on it or, and that they would commit to it and that they were really good at it, that they would get like how to really perform this thing, even as ridiculous as the whole thing is, that they would be able to tackle it in a way as if we were making, the most serious drama, like making To Kill a Mockingbird or something, it's like, play this for real and play it for keeps. And which elicited really great conversations about the motivations of these characters, so that they were very easy to on the day, there's no questioning. Like in a horror movie, logic is often coming up. Why is this person doing this? Why would they be hiding? And in this, it's like the mom in it, the older woman, the mother of the son, like it's like she's like this sexually liberated woman that doesn't understand why people aren't, it's like she lives in a world where sex is everywhere. People are dressed provocatively. Everybody's having sex with each other. She's like, why won't you guys like see my son as a legitimate person that needs to have sex too? It's like, that's a great starting point for, for this character to have. She was really, and Robert Longstreet played her, was just, it was always there to just be like, yeah, this is why you're going to do this. You're not a sadist. It's like, you like just want your kid to, have a girlfriend.
The best villains in anything, in my opinion, they're doing what's right in their mind. And as ridiculous as the movie is, like, her motivation makes sense.
Yeah, she says at one point too, that's in the comic, where it's like, why don't you hire a prostitute to do this? And she's like, that's against the Bible, and it's like, okay, then that's an argument that yes, we live with every day. Okay, well, all right.
Yeah, well, we see that a lot in today's society, like about like, two guys getting married against the Bible or whatever. But like, but all this other stuff you're cool with, like, that's not against the Bible. Like,
I love that. But then it's just like an argument you can't, even the woman in the movie is like, she tells her that, and she's like, there's no comeback to when somebody's like, well, I believe in the Bible and therefore that's why I'm doing it. It's like, I don't know what to say now.
Because you can't argue that, because you have to argue against the Bible at that point. And if someone believes it, you can't just, it's an unwinnable argument.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I know who you are, and we're not getting out of this. So yeah, so it's very fun to have that. So all those actors were friends, So yeah, it's like, and we were able to just kind of hit the ground running with it, and have a trust and an innate, shared sensibility of what this should be.
And so I think it's really smart to you don't show the son. At least I haven't seen a picture of the son anywhere. And you kind of have a red herring at one point where at the beginning where you think this is the son. There's some spoilers here, sorry guys. But and then when you do unveil him, it's like it's a really big moment in the movie.
Yeah, and it's all Robert Kurtzman, the legend that did all that stuff. He was part of KMB Effects, and he did all Don Coscarelli's movies, and Dusk Till Dawn and Nightmare on Elm Street, and he even worked on Evil Dead 2, and UHF is our favorite movie to quote that he did, Conan the Librarian, and it's like, yeah, he built this entire suit and transformed Steve Little into the son, and it's so disgusting, it's just so nasty, and then Steve's performance in that, he's just capable of bringing that to life.
I try to go into movies as blind as possible. I did see that he was, in the movie, and I was like, I don't know, is he playing? I didn't. At some point, I'm like, I guess he's the son, but I can't really see him as, you know what I mean? And so it was cool. Then at the credits, I see it was him. But he's awesome in it, and I know him from what's the show? The HBO show.
Eastbound and Down.
Yeah, Eastbound and Down. He was a great character in that. So this is a great performance by him, and a great role for him.
It really was. It's like amazing what he's doing. When we were doing like the color correct, like the final stages of stuff, I'd seen this over and over and over, but like we were going through frame by frame and just kind of watching what he was doing. Like he has to stick his tongue out of that costume to get stuff moving around, and how he was changing his voice and stuff. And then you call cut, and he would just go right back, and you could see his face more in it. But it was like really a transformation in there of just him physically, like, making his face contort in these really weird ways underneath the makeup. It just makes it so pathetic and so sweet. It like, I mean, it's really a testament to him being able to do that, and then him improvising so much shit along, because his dialogue, like blugga blugga, that's what it was written as. So
I love that. That's what you would have saw in the script. In the script, it's like booga booga and like all this.
Yeah, I think like even in the comic, it's like I don't think there's like that's an example of his dialogue here where it's just ugh, duh. It's like this is like throughout the comic. That's all you kind of get from Fabian. Let's see. Yeah, he's God, poor Fabian. So sad. Let me see where's some more other good Fabian parts. I mean, I don't think he even has any line. As I'm looking at this, yeah, it's like duh is his lines, So, gargle. So this is kind of all he had. But it was like once Steve got into the makeup and everything too, it was like we didn't really know what it was going to be like. I didn't know, and he didn't either. So Steve would be in that makeup and looking in the mirror and just kind of like taking that in of what he was and what he's capable of doing. And then it was like, how inarticulate is this man going to be? This character going to be? And we decided that he could talk. And then during the sex scene, he really comes to life and turns into a real piece of shit, but yeah. So it's like a lot of stuff was found along the way, because it's like, again, in the comic, it's real fun. But even now looking at the comic, realizing that he probably only says like Derg and Blug like 5 times in the course of the comic too. So, yeah. What have we done?
So, Christian here, I saw Kevin Smith show the trailer at Smodcastle, and to say he was excited about it was an understatement.
Oh man, that's great. Robert Kurtzman, who did all the effects for this, worked on Tusk and all the Kevin stuff, and I think he made Kevin aware of it, and he just texted me a couple weeks ago, Kurtzman did, saying like, Kevin wants to show this. And I was like, oh, great. Yeah, that would be fantastic. And then, you know, like put me in touch with his booker. And it's like, Kevin's booker is Kevin. And so, and my booker, you know, it's like, I'm me. So we're just talking about the movie, and we're going to show it there once the print, because we got a 35 print that's starting next week to show. And so I want to show that there. Oh wait, no, that's not right. He doesn't have 35 there. We're doing it once I can be there, I think was the reason that we're not doing it this year. But I'm excited for him to see it.
Yeah, Christian works at the Smod Castle. He's a really cool guy. So yeah, I actually pitched it to a friend of mine that runs I don't know if he'd be interested or not, but he runs Coolidge Corner Theater midnight. They do midnights every Friday and Saturday, and I was like,
yeah,
and they have 35 millimeter projection. I was like, I think this would be like a really cool midnight movie if you're interested. So I don't know if you'll be interested or not, but
yeah, we've been talking to a bunch of theaters. I know it was either the Coolidge or the Brattle.
Oh yeah, it's the two that I go to. Either one would work, I think.
Okay, yeah, I can't. I've been to Boston a couple times for the festivals, but
yeah, the Brattle I go to for Boston Underground Film Festival, and Coolidge, I was just there. They did a 12-hour horror movie marathon for Halloween. It's like midnight till noon the next day, and I helped set up the Crispin Glover screening for Monday at Coolidge. So, which I don't know if you know about Crispin Glover's own movies that he makes. Like, he doesn't release them. You know, I said that, and he said, "No, I do release them, but this is how I release them. Is, you know, it's like on tour, and you have to watch them with him."
Yes, I love it. Like, he's a true showman. Like, he is one of a kind, and there should be more like him. You know, I wish there was an equivalent that was following in his footsteps, that was like Timothée Chalamet making his own weird movies right now, and simultaneously being a star in movies where people know him. You know, it's like Crispin's really, you know, like a true artist, and in his beliefs. And I think, like, even Back to the Future, like his reasoning for not being in those sequels is such a testament to who he is as a person and an artist, and he sticks by it. Like, it's a very, 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 very hard thing for anyone to do, to turn away from something like that. But his integrity is like beyond anyone else's, you know, like truly, truly the most integrity, I think, of anyone in Hollywood. And unfortunately that has some downsides for him, but also it provides us with a guy that's really making true weird outsider art.
It was when I've had him on a couple times, and people like were warning me, like, "Oh, he's this weird guy." I'm like, "Well, I know he's like a weird guy, but he is super nice guy." Yeah. And the last time he was on was like 4-hour interview, and we talked about so much stuff. And then he invited me to the opening day at the IFC Center in New York, and he's just a really well, you said artist. Like, the art is what matters to him. It's not them. Obviously, people want to make money with whatever they're making, but that's not the important part to him. The only important part would be if he could make enough money to make another movie. But the art, and he even talked about that. He thought that was like a huge problem in the world, is like the corporate, like the people putting corporate messages in art. And he's like, he really believes that's like, he said it was like, he thinks it was like the worst thing going on currently, like that it kind of encompasses like everything, you know, it goes out, you know, beyond just like movies and stuff. So it was really interesting guy, and a good guy. Like, he stayed there till like, I don't know, late 2 a.m. or something, to talk to every single person that was in the theater.
Yeah. I mean, like film should have that contingent to it. There should be that part of it. It's like, it's so like, it's either all or not. Like, it's truly like the 1% and the 99%. It's like there should be middle ground with movies too, where like people are genuinely like able to have a connection to the filmmakers, and to have, you know, something that's that, you know, intriguing, and to meet people that are making it, but also parts of these other movies, you know, like just that can span that and not just be at the top or the bottom. It's I guess, what is that? A filmmaking middle class or something that just doesn't exist. But he's so accessible in that way.
And I knew he talked so much about Back to the Future stuff. So I asked him a little bit different, on the podcast. Just like how, like, does that affect how he, looks at those movies? And he said, yeah, because he would like to look like this is a big movie he made and have like fond memories of it. But he, it's ruined his experience with that. He can't think of like Back to the Future as a good experience or like really want to talk about it like, as a fun time. And he said it really hurt him in the business because then people thought like he was this hard guy to deal with. But he's like, no one else has ever had an issue with me on anything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like somebody else said that him and Nicolas Cage are the same person essentially, like, and they're really good friends. And it's like, but yeah, I mean, like, it's like they kind of are two sides of the same person that just kind of had different circumstances played to them. And I'm not saying Crispin's circumstances are worse. I would love if Nicolas Cage was making a movie. Like, I would kill to see his version of what Crispin's doing. And I don't know if he has that. I mean, he's a Coppola, like he has that in his blood.
Yeah.
Like it's
I'm always a fan of his anyway, but I've loved a lot of his really weird indie movies. Once he started doing like stuff like Mandy and stuff, I was like, oh shit, these movies are like my favorite of Nicolas Cage stuff.
Yeah, maybe it's time for their careers to, a little, for Crispin to be able to do the face-off version of his life, because he ages very well. I mean, he's the most handsome man in the world, and it's a true movie star.
And it must be in the genes because his dad's in this new movie he did, Know You're Wrong, and he passed away this year, but he's still, I think he's in his 90s maybe when he made it, and it looked really good, honestly.
And in his, I mean, it's also like, not to knock anything Crispin's been in, like any movie he was in is something fascinating. His Willard remake, I think, is fascinating. I love Willard. And like River's Edge and like his part in Wild at Heart is like, god damn, like that like I wish David Lynch made a whole, cousin, god, what's his name in that? Cousin, it's the best name ever. I forget Crispin's name in Wild at Heart, but being a whole movie based around him, it's like Herzog loves him, and it's like he's done so much more for cinema and in cinema than we give him credit for. But that's also Nicolas Cage. People really don't see his impact of the amount of amazing stuff, and he's kind of a Bill Murray-ish joke now, and I don't quite get that. Where he's, I love hearing him talk about it.
Have you seen The Surfer? I don't know if it's his new. It came out, I think, last year, maybe earlier this year. It's wild. I saw it at Boston Underground Film Festival. I don't know if it was a premiere. I think it was a premiere. And it's great. It's really weird, and it's not what you think it is from the trailer.
Right. No, I haven't seen it because I haven't been able to see anything in the last year. I've been working like crazy, so it's like I need to go catch up on a lot. But I'm going to watch that because I do love everything that he's been doing.
Yeah. And so in the email when I first got this, it's going to be in theaters only. It says no streaming. Does that mean like forever, or down the road would Fuck My Son, like would it, are you open to it like streaming somewhere at some point?
My ideal world is no. Like, it's just like, I just think it's kind of a lonely feeling of watching this movie, I mean, at home on a laptop or something. It's just like, I think I look at it in the same way when I made it. I was like, God, if somebody else did this, what would they do? And it was like, be like something that you just see on streaming with a different title, like it would be retitled, like My Sad Son, My Hideous Mutant Son or something. And I love the idea that it's only been a positive to have theaters right now. Like, and I kind of like the idea of putting it out for a little while and then even putting it away and moving on to go work on something else, because financially there's no benefit for me or for anyone. And it has to make so much money for us to even make our money back, because it goes to the theaters, which I'm with. I want to support movie theaters, and having it there means they keep like 50-60% of the ticket sales, and then others go to our booker or just paying our parking passes, our parking fees. Even when we played in LA, I spent $200 to park at the Alamo, which is more than we made like over multiple days there. It's like at the end of each day, I had to be there for 8 hours to scan the parking pass, and it was like $50 to park at the Alamo garage, and be like, fuck, even $50 today. So it's like we're never going to make money with this. So it's kind of like, well, it's like I just like it, the idea of it being, maybe it's one of the last movies, that's not on streaming. And so there's no incentive or benefit for anyone right now to do that. If it does benefit our investors at some point, it just wouldn't right now. Like streamers, a streaming service will pay you like $15,000 or something to get the rights to your movie. And I'd rather that we continue to own the movie, and in 10 years, maybe we'll, be able to recoup that. And I think that's a better use of that. It's not that and also it just benefits theater. I don't know. Everything about it, there's no argument for putting it on streaming that.
Yeah. I'm somebody goes. I go to the movies almost every weekend and festivals stuff. So I love the idea of it. Like, touring around and playing midnight. I think it's like a great midnight movie, honestly. And playing like art house theaters and stuff. And
like if Blumhouse did that, like if Blumhouse, or like they did one of their lower budget movies and say this is only in theater. It's a way to support, because we're not going to have movie theaters for much longer. Like CBS is ready to get in there and convert your movie theater into a CBS. So it's like if I know that like the industry's built on streaming, but like if they did one movie or two movies a year that were like, like let's just keep this here because it's important to have this profits go to the movie theater. And that's why I'm not a businessman. So
yeah, and
I think
I told my co-host, because I normally do a live show on Thursday with it's me and my brother, my friend AJ's a director, and Tara Hutchinson, who runs New Village Video. It's like a Grindhouse movie platform. I was like,
yeah,
it would have been so amazing for us to all watch this movie together in a theater. It would have been a great time. But I was like, you guys really have to go see it if it's playing anywhere where you are.
Yeah, we'll be in Boston for sure. It's sometime next year, and I also want to bring it to Provincetown. Like I know
nice. I'm not far from Provincetown.
So, and I think it's the same booker that does one of the Boston theaters in Provincetown. So that's like they've been top of my list from the beginning, because I just think it'd be so fun to have it there. I've gotten there's watching it with gay friends that like don't have kids. I think there is something about being somebody that doesn't have kids and watching a movie like this brings out some different laughs in different places. Like, and I enjoy those laughs the most. So I was like, it'd be very, very fun to it was my friend Yen's suggestion that is like, I think this will kill in Provincetown. So I was like, okay, yeah, I want to do that.
All right, I'm down for that. So when you did go to festivals, what was that like? What was the experience like?
Well, we were really lucky in terms of like that we did Toronto International Film Festival, and then the next week was Fantastic Fest, and the next week was Beyond Fest, and the next week after that was a festival in Strasbourg, a genre festival, and the week after that was Sitges, and then the next week we opened it in the New York at IFC Center. So it was every week we were at a festival. That was not by design. You can't. It's like at all. I was like, maybe we could do one festival, and then my initial idea was we were going to play it in people's garages, take out ads in the paper that said "fuck my son, rated X," and then have an address. And I really loved that idea. And that was the plan. But then it got into these festivals, and I couldn't get it done in time to start the garage screenings. Like we were still doing post up until right before the Toronto screening. So I really regretted that. But it was like, but this is also a blessing to have all these festivals say yes in a row. It was interesting. Like the Toronto crowds are really crazy for it. But then afterwards, yeah, there was an online backlash that was like out of control and so depressing. Not just for the movie, but just for film in general. And I like Beyond Fest was really wonderful, but there's sort of a Comic-Con. I've been to Comic-Con once to just walk around, and there's just a soulless energy in there. And you'd see the real kind of comic dorks there, and they were still felt like they were
pushed. At my first New York Comic-Con a couple of weeks ago. It was cool that they had me host a panel, but walking around there I understand exactly what you're saying.
It felt like a different culture co-opting the one place where true dorks and people that felt like they are on the fringes of society felt safe and had their own place. And it just felt, to me, Comic-Con just feels like it's co-opted this one place that, where kids could actually connect. Like if you liked these comics, I like these comics, and you used to be a dork for it, and now it's like everyone's a nerd. understand it, you know, and I don't. Anyhow, the horror world felt that way to me too, and I felt very pushed out by it. Like even the people that write for Fangoria magazine won't talk about this movie because they heard there was AI in it, and like they won't speak to, you know. And like I grew up on Fangoria, you know, Kurtzman's like the person that they should be talking to, and they won't. And so I just felt it just felt like it's like the Fangoria corporate enterprise of it that's just promoting corporate movies and excited. It's like there's something about that was very depressing and off-putting that I took personally myself. I thought it was me. Like I thought I didn't like movies or something. And it took me up until last week to kind of, after really seeing audiences and interacting with people on a human level, to be like, oh my God, no, there's audiences that want to go, that are really wonderful people. But at the festivals, it felt like this co-opting of a corporation coming into what was once something very sacred and sweet, and a connector of people, and hollowing it out. That's not positive, and it's not everybody at these festivals by any means. But there was I've been doing film festivals since like 1998 or 97 was my first film festival.
Oh, wow.
And so it's like it was really a place where you could meet people and have really genuine connections, and there was something about it that, I know this is really depressing. This is so depressing, but it just felt like there's a corporatization of the horror, what horror movies are. And
I've been doing festivals for, I'm not sure how long, maybe 10 years or so. And then, but I have noticed in the last few years that like, there's like the big horror movies will play there at some of them. And I don't want to name any names, but like, you know, they pay, you know, so I get it. They pay them so they can have their movie play there. I don't really understand what the benefit it is for the bigger horror movies, because they're going to open like the next week anyway, like in all the theaters. But it's odd. And there's also the idea that people who pay to submit their movies, that's like one less spot for them. And so,
it's a place to be discovered. It's like these are places that, you know, you hope to go and discover a movie, and that's what the corporations are paying to have their movies, to feel like they're discoveries. And it's just the amount of people and press there that just gravitate towards the stardom and the, you know,
I have a really personal experience with this. So my first film premiered at a very big film festival, and they booked a sneak preview of Barbarian right after it. And so during our Q&A, like everyone's leaving to go to see Barbarian, and I'm like, I get it on some level, but I'm like, that movie's literally opening next week, like worldwide at all the theaters, and this is probably the only time you're going to get to see my movie, you know, in the theaters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to have people looking at watching your movies ending, to make sure they don't miss the bigger.
Yeah, and they apologize and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I get it, but at this, I don't know. It wasn't a great feeling, honestly, you know.
No, it's like it really, but the feeling of discovery and really being at a festival and seeing something for the first time that is not corporatized, you know. And I hate to say, I know we're talking about Crispin Glover and all that, but it's like, yeah, those movies have a release schedule, and it's like they're using this as an outlet to promote, and maybe that should be the big premiere at the beginning of it, so everybody can see whatever star, you know, or whatever there. But after that, it's like, well, what if we actually did have some discovery? What if, you know, and festivals are deteriorating that. I wouldn't say that Fantastic Fest or any of these festivals are doing that too much. There's other like South by Southwest to me is just like, it's really rough to look at. And that's probably the thing that festivals are going towards, where it just becomes like, we're premiering like 2 episodes of a TV show that comes out next week. And it's like, Jesus Christ. And then they're putting like the premieres of movies in theaters that are like way outside of town. And it's like, what is, and no one's going, they're empty. You know, that's the direction that goes, and that's what ends up. And so it's like, what is the point of this? And yeah, so it's like, I did feel a bit of that at the genre stuff, but just the inklings of that. And I hope maybe it can be course corrected. But when the press goes for that, when like when Fangoria wouldn't talk to a movie that's being self-distributed and like our movie, like they wouldn't speak to us, but yet they're like blasting about how great Black Phone 2 is. It's kind of like that you guys, and having a sponsorship with Spencer's Gifts, it's kind of like, all right, like that's not you guys. Yeah, it's like this is not at all like anything of what this originally was or what it meant to me. It's I don't know, it's a different world. Yeah
and it's I mean, I enjoy festivals a lot, and it's cool to see stuff like before it pops up like a year later on Shudder, but there's also a lot of stuff that never goes anywhere, and it's kind of bittersweet. Like, oh, it's cool, I get to see it, but like, I wonder why no one ever picked that up anywhere. And shorts are really cool at festivals because it's probably your only time you're going to see them with an audience and on the big screen.
And that's where people go for it in the shorts. It's like you see shit where you're just like, they don't. I mean, yeah, they know that there's no, and that's if that can be translated to their features too. It's like, that's where the true visions are.
Yeah, I remember I was at Boston Underground Film Festival. There was I think they call it Trigger Warning. It's like a midnight block. And this one movie, it ended up being like hardcore pornography, and like half the audience like and they got up and left, and it's a really memorable experience for me just because I thought it was funny that all these festival people were like I'm getting out of here, and then other people were staying and laughing like nervously and like.
I mean,
that's called Trigger Warning.
Like that, like, I mean, and now is maybe a ripe time to do that, where it's like, okay, you go to see something like Black Phone 2, and it's like, that there's a bar where they're not going to cross something. It's like you're in this sort of safety zone of what this horror movie is going to do. But then if you have the next movie after that, and if a programmer can do it to be like this Trojan horse of shit, to make it seem like this is going to play by the rules, and then there's like hardcore pornography and just like stuff that make like. If you're the right kind of horror fan, like seeing people horrified around you and running out of the theater would be just, like you deserve that experience by showing up to that festival and taking a chance on something like that. Because that's like what we love about telling stories about Texas Chainsaw or Eraserhead. It's like, I heard that people walked out, El Topo, the original Midnight movie. Like there would be 5 people left in the theater. And to us, that's charming, but in reality, that would probably horrify you or me to be everybody's leaving. You don't want that. But it's also like, in retrospect, that's fucking great because that movie withstood the test of time. People love it now. And there were only so many people who were really courageous enough or had the right just temperament and timing that made that movie work for them at that moment, which is a true connection with art. It's not every painting is for everybody. Not every song is for everybody. Not every movie is for everybody. And so when you really connect with something like that, it's that's everything we're talking about. Like that is when you find friends that are just like, I fucking love Greasy Strangler. And then it doesn't, you can't be friends with people that don't like it, but you can connect with somebody that loves this thing that is a put off to other people. You suddenly, it just ingrains you closer to that person, and mediocrity can't do that,
I agree 100%. And I'll still be friends with someone who doesn't like Greasy Strangler, but I've had many experiences. Actually, a friend of mine, Kaylee, who I just started talking to, and I saw she did this review of the Greasy Strangler, and I just like started talking to her, and I was like, and anyway, we bonded over the Greasy Strangler. So, and and next week we're gonna go see the Crispin Glover movie together. So it'll all work out.
Oh man. Yeah. Wait, you're going to go see it again? You already saw it once?
Yeah, I saw it. Yes, I saw it in New York at the IC Center. And so I helped set this one up in Boston, so I have to go. But, but I'm looking forward to it, too. I'm looking forward to seeing it again.
He's the best.
Yeah. And it's a long experience because he starts off and he reads like 6 books. And I'll be honest, at that point, I was like, I don't know what is happening right now. But and then the movie, and then the Q&A, and then he stays and talks to everybody. It's a really really good time, honestly.
Caitlin at the IFC Center told us, because we were the week after he was there, so I didn't even
get that's who Caitlin. Yeah, I know Caitlin. Yeah,
she's so sweet, and she was like saying like that talk about a dedicated man. Like he wanted to appear, in front of the audience. Like not kind of come up through the aisle, but he sat behind the curtain of the screen, like the frame of the screen, stood there while everyone entered the theater for like a half hour, and then like then the lights go down and he walks out, you know, and just for that presentation, like there was no back door to get there or whatever. So he's like, no, this is what you do, you know. And she's like, God, that did like even getting a filmmaker to show up to their own Q&A can be a hassle, you know. And it's like, here's a guy that's like, no, I'm gonna stand behind a curtain for half an hour just so that my entrance can be like the best, you know, the coolest, you know. I don't know if Noah Baumbach does that kind of shit for his Q&As, but like but yeah, it really shows Kristen's testament to showmanship, you know.
And I noticed there was a guy in the back that was, because I was sitting in the back with my friend Jimmy, and there was a guy in the back, and he started doing like this, like I guess telling him he was running out of time. But he wanted just to talk to everyone in the for the Q&A. I think he just would have went on for hours until there's no more questions.
Yeah. God bless him on this Halloween day.
Yeah, happy Halloween, everybody. And let's see. I will say, Christian, we did kind of cover this a little bit ago, but when it comes to pitching projects like Fuck My Son, is it difficult to champion something so against the norm, or did leaning against the norms really help make it happen?
Both. Yeah. So I there were certain things in it where I was like, I can't leave. I'm a hopeful person in independent film. I have no hope. So it was like, I can't put any hope in anybody. So I didn't pitch it to anybody. No production companies. I went to one, I should say. I went to XYZ saying, I think you guys, since you guys did Greasy Strangler, you'd be into this. And they were not. They didn't even look at it or read it. They were like, this seems very niche. And I was like, that's what a horror movie should be. But and after that, I was like, I'm not going to take this to any production company. So, but I did have to raise money. So I raised money in $10,000 and $20,000 increments for a $600,000 movie. And it was very on the level with what the movie was. Yeah, so it's like, so in pitching it, it was like, I gave the history of exploitation movies. I said why exploitation has worked, where it's shown up in the past when movies were in a dip and when it's difficult to get things out. So I presented it in this way, like all the way through the distribution of what we were going to do for it. So, and then that way was very empowering because there was no hope. There was no like, God, I hope that this company says yes and then won't tell me to change the title and won't tell me that I need to cast somebody that's not right, or, you know. And it's like, just I've been down that path, and I can point you towards a movie that I made that explicitly shows that path, and in my past, and this was just like, I don't want to even wait for distributors to look at it and say maybe or yes or string. I just want to put it out and do it, and then those who are on board can attach themselves to it and be there, and there's space for them to do that. But it's like, just time is going to kill it if we sit around and wait for other people. So no, I kind of just was like, let's yeah, no, like that the title was the point of where compromise ends, you know. Like, if you don't like the title, and a lot of people said you got to change the title, it was like, okay, well, it's not going to work for this one. So it was a good line in the sand that's right on the surface page. Not even page one of the script, the title page of the script, to be like, you're in or you're out.
Yeah, I was not sure what to call on YouTube, so I don't think I could put the complete title on the on like the YouTube title. Yeah, I don't know. That that's a whole other thing, but all those rules are very nebulous on YouTube. There's no just guideline, and they change them. The latest one, and it's this really calm guy, and he's just there. We've lightened the rules on extreme language. Now words like bitch are fine. And it's really comical.
Like guy?
Yeah, and he even says, and you can use words like fuck, but use your fucks wisely. And I was like, is this real? Like, this is a real
great advice. That's great advice overall in life. Use your fucks wisely. Like, that should be yeah. That should be what YouTube just says underneath of everything. Yeah. Using our fucks wisely.
So would you ever do a sequel?
Johnny Ryan had an idea for a movie called Fuck My Son, and it is a little basket case like idea.
Oh, nice.
That's all I'll say. But I I have limited amounts of movies I can make. It's so hard to put something together and to do it. So it's like, and especially now, I really can see that it feels like the garage door is closing and you're just trying to, get underneath of it so you get outside. But it's like, it would be fun to do a Broadway musical version of this too.
Oh, that would be sweet. Oh, by the way, there's some fuck my son songs in the movie, which are very fun. Very
fuck my songs. That should be. God damn it, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
that should be the soundtrack. Fuck my songs.
I like that. There's some notes here for the show.
I know, I'm writing them down too. There's like all these. I want to do a soundtrack that's like other bands and stuff, just basically saying like, write a song with the title "Fuck My Son," and we'll put it on the soundtrack. So the whole soundtrack's like "Fuck My Son," track 2, "Fuck My Son," track 3, "Fuck My Son." Dumb joke, but like I love novelty hits and all that stuff. So I'm a Fish Heads fan through and through. I wanted to do a trailer of this that used, how horror movies take like any kind of like hip older song and make the spooky version of it. I really want to do that with Fish Heads, to have it be like, like spooky kids singing Fish Heads, and then he shows up. Like I would love to do a trailer that's to Fish Heads or Shaving Cream or something, that would be a good horror. But that'll have to be my studio movie, I think.
And anyone out there, I think someone should do a pickles and milk song. I think that would be a good that could be in the musical, the pickles and milk number.
It is, very, dancing, like that would be very, very Busby Berkeley, There's a bikini swimming in a tank of pickles and milk.
There's I don't know the name of them, but I every Halloween they do like a musical for a horror movie, and one year they did Silence the musical, and it's a Silence of the Lambs musical, and there's a whole musical number about multiple Migs like throwing his splooge in her face, and they're singing it like very like this is like a really important musical, and it's so funny.
Have you ever been to the Hollywood Museum in LA? It's in the Max Factor building. Have you ever been to it?
I don't think so.
Next time you go to LA, it's like, it looks like it's like on Hollywood or just off Hollywood Boulevard, and it's like near the museum and all that stuff. So it looks like you should not go in there. It looks like it's going to be dumb. It's got the best collection of the most random shit in the world. So good. And in the basement is the entire set of Silence of the Lambs. The actual entire basement, like set that they got and reconstructed in the basement. It's fascinating. It's like, so you go down in and you're like, is this just, it looks like it's fake. Like, no, this is the one. And you see pictures from the movie there and you look up and all the details are exactly the same. But they have Mig's cell in it, and it has a little like placard that says, "This is where Mig said, 'I can smell your cunt, bitch,' and flicked his semen at." It's like, it's little kids walking by, like looking around at stuff with their parents. They're like, "Let's go into the Hollywood Museum." And it's like, what? Like, I love it. It's like, that's the best. I can send you a picture of the sign where it's just like, "Yeah, I can smell your cunt." It says like that in a museum of like celebrating Hollywood.
I love that. My when I am out there, I usually stay with my friends who live off Hollywood Boulevard, so I could probably just walk right over to it. So that'd be sweet.
They have Roddy McDowell's bathroom in there, which is a real thing.
It's just his actual bathroom.
His actual bathroom from his house. And that it's like, think of all the people that took a dump in this room. He had crazy parties. It's like, the museum is. I love it. And they change stuff out all the time because it's the best. But the Silence of the Lambs exhibit is, you'll just want to, it's like the what's the Rothko Chapel in Houston, where you just go in and you sit and you're in this room with like different Mark Rothko paintings. But for me, it's like I could just go sit in the Silence of the Lambs set and just like for hours and just kind of meditate there. It's like, I can't believe I'm in this. You'll be the only person there too. It's like there's no one in there. Occasional little kid that's coming to see Miggs' cum stones. But
that's a great selfie. Yeah. Bring some like Elmer's glue and
Yeah. The people that run it too are so sweet and nice that you could just be like, can you come and let me in here so I can take a picture? And they'd be like, yeah, like it's a real so yeah, if your friends are there, I'm sure they've been there, but like it's great for a visit. It's the best Hollywood spot.
All right, we'll definitely make it out there. So where can people go to follow Fuck My Son to see like where it's playing?
Right now, they're like the best way is Instagram, because like we have all of our listings on there. I think we do have a website now, just Fuck My Son with no U, because someone else owns Fuck My Son.
I don't think you want to go to that one. Just my guess is probably not a good site to go to. Yeah.
Yeah, just fckmyson.com. And that basically just goes to a Longstreet that has all of the current screenings and where things are at. But Instagram's a really good place. We're just go next week with Mike Kuchar, who's a true cinematic hero of the Kuchar brothers. And I'm going to screen a movie of his with this. And we're going to talk. Jeff Nichols and Andrew Budowski are Q&As in Austin tomorrow, which is really fun to talk to the guys that made like computer chess and bike riders talking about Fuck My Son. And then I'll be in Atlanta, and I should have these all written down.
Oh, where is it playing in Atlanta?
The Plaza Theater. So we'll be there in December for that.
Okay, I think I'm actually there next week for Buried Alive Film Festival. I think it's at the Plaza.
Oh. Yeah, those books are great. So that's the spot. So we'll be there for a couple days, and we're adding dates in the beginning of 2026, a whole East Coast tour and all that. So all of that's still coming together. So we want to keep coming to cities and coming back. So, but that's the best place to kind of see where things are at. Now it's just the Instagram. Unfortunately, that's the current media platform.
Cool. Yeah, and when it plays Boston, I'll be there, because I honestly love the Fuck My Son, and I would love to see it in the theater with like a group of people. I think that would be a great time.
It's fun, yeah. When it's like, yeah, when you have a crowd that's going into it, it's very, very, very fun. So and yeah, I encourage booing and screaming and whatever at the screen. It makes it. That's how movies should be.
Cool. And I keep a list of my movies that I like throughout the year, so I can remember when we do our top list. I used to not do that, and I'd be like, "Oh, I really like this movie." And I'd look it up. Oh shit, that came out 5 years ago. So anyway, I keep like a list now.
Yeah.
And Fuck My Son is definitely on my list. It will be on.
Oh, God bless you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad you watched it on Halloween.
Yes, the perfect Halloween movie, I guess. I don't know, but yeah.
Cup of coffee and a croissant and Fuck My Son. And...
Yeah, I did watch it while I was eating breakfast at the beginning of the movie, but I don't know if it's really a breakfast movie, but whatever.
No, I wouldn't. But who knows? What am I to say? Yeah, maybe breakfast is the new midnight. Yeah.
I didn't have sausages or anything though. Hot dogs.
I appreciate this. It's very fun to talk about all this stuff, and I think that's what's a good reason just to make a movie, is to have these conversations that otherwise, I just love talking about these movies, and knowing that we all know the same language of this stuff, so it's very fun to talk about that and Christmas stuff and all of that. That's thankfully still current.
Yeah, I had a great time. Thank you for coming on the show.
You bet. Yeah.
And welcome back anytime.
Okay, I'll be back tomorrow. We'll do this daily.
New co-host here. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Neil.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hi, this is Adrienne Barbeau. Just call me Billy. Everyone does. And you're listening to withoutyourhead.com.